Rome is an empire built on sand, blood, and a whole lot of sex. Today, we tell the story of a republic turned empire, of civil wars and betrayals, of ambition and murder. This is the story of how one man killed a republic. His name was Julius Caesar, a soldier, a politician, a god in the making. And in his shadow, Rome would never be the same. Welcome to Ruins of Thrones. Today we begin at the beginning, looking at the rise of a nobody who changed the course of human history. Chapter 1. The Rise of a Nobody. Year 100 BCE, Rome is rich, powerful, and kind of boring. It's been 150 years since the last big war. There are no threats on the horizon, so the Romans are getting fat and lazy. Perfect, because that's when you strike. Our story begins with one, Gaius Julius Caesar, born on July in a patrician family in decline. Young Gaius had two things going for him. 1. Good looks. 2. The name Julius Caesar. Other than that, he was a nobody. At 16, his father died. At 18, he was hunted by Sulla, Rome's ruthless dictator. He fled to Greece, then returned to Rome when Sulla died. And in the years that followed, he made one vow. Rome would never ignore his name again. And so our story is one of a climber, a nobody who claws his way to the top. How does he do it? With politics. Not the kind that divides people. Oh, Caesar understood the crowd. He was charming, charismatic, and knew how to play the game. First, he ingratiated himself with the right people. Men like Marcus Licinius Crassus, the richest man in Rome. Next, he made a powerful enemy. That guy was Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, known to all as Pompey the Great. Those two were just pawns in Caesar's game, along with Marcus Terentius Varro, another politician. Together, they formed the first triumvirate, a secret alliance run by three friends. It wasn't a formal alliance, no laws or treaties. It was just an understanding, and the rest is history. Caesar charmed the Senate with his silver tongue, while he moved the crowds with words like daggers. He made allies of enemies. Soon the entire political landscape of Rome shifted. Caesar was just 29, so the triumvirate ruled Rome for the next decade, sharing power and cracking down on rivals. But Caesar wasn't building friendships. He was laying the foundation for an empire. That brings us to Gaul. Caesar had the perfect excuse to conquer half Europe, and he took it. They sent him to Gaul to fight barbarians. Instead, he carved out a kingdom, 8 years, 1 million dead. He crossed rivers no Roman had seen, and when he returned, Rome heard every word. While senators schemed, Caesar conquered. Then came the fateful year of 49 BC. The Senate was in crisis. Marius wanted to expand the army. Crassus wanted to keep it small. Caesar sided with Marius, and when the Senate outlawed his legion, he crossed the Rubicon River. That was forbidden. It meant war, but Caesar didn't care. He was past caring. He declared, "The die is cast." No general was allowed to bring troops into Rome, but Caesar didn't ask. He just did it. He marched into Rome with an army. A civil war seemed inevitable, and though Pompey the Great was victorious in the east, Caesar was unstoppable in the west. He took Spain, Greece, and most of Italy. Finally, he chased Pompey to Egypt, and there he met his end. It happened like this. Caesar landed at Alexandria with a fleet. He intended to punish the Egyptian king, Ptolemy XIII, for killing Pompey. The plan was simple. If Ptolemy handed over Caesar's assassins, he'd be rewarded. If not, he'd be punished. Except nothing is ever simple in Egypt. The royal court panicked. The city went wild. In the end, it was up to Cleopatra, Queen of the Nile, who arrived riding a ship like a goddess. She captivated Caesar and helped broker a peace deal. But she also had an ace up her sleeve. And soon enough, Caesar was up to his neck in Egyptian intrigue. What happened next surprised everyone. Caesar left Egypt with two very important things, a queen and a son. Back in Rome, the Republic was in ruins. Kings and queens were a bad memory. The Senate hated them. So what did Caesar do? He hid them, both of them. As for Ptolemy XIII, he got off scot-free. It was just another day in Egypt. Now, upon returning to Rome, Caesar didn't have to fight a single battle. Pompey had fled to Greece, and most of Italy was behind him. Only a few diehards stood against him, but they didn't last long. Caesar was back in Rome. The Republic was about to die. Now, he was a hero to some, a conqueror, even a god to others. But to many, he was a monster. a tyrant who toppled the Republic and brought Rome to its knees. All those people were wrong. Caesar didn't kill the Republic. He had died of 1,000 cuts. The truth is, Caesar was elected dictator for 10 years. Then he was elected dictator for life. But these were new offices created by the crumbling Republic, not institutions of the Roman Empire. We can't say Caesar created the Roman Empire. He inherited it. Here's what he did. He passed reforms, gave land to the poor, and filled the Senate with loyalists. In the process, he transformed Rome, turning it from a republic into an empire. Which brings us to his greatest victory. In 44 BCE, he entered the Temple of Bellona to receive a deification ceremony. It was a traditional Roman ceremony where a person is literally made a god. Can you think of a better way to go from man to myth? But this moment was stolen by Cassius and Brutus, two members of the Liberators, a group of senators who opposed Caesar. Why? Because they believed he was destroying the Republic, because they thought he was taking Rome backwards. In fact, they saw Caesar as a threat to everything Rome stood for. On March 1544 BCE, they attacked. As Caesar approached the Senate, his wife Calpurnia tried to dissuade him. She dreamt of his assassination, she said. But Caesar wasn't listening. According to legend, he was stopped by a soothsayer who told him, "Beware the Ides of March." Thinking it was just an old wives' tale, Caesar continued to the Senate. There he was stabbed 23 times. Even his friend, Brutus, was among them. As he fell beneath the statue of his rival, Pompey, Rome watched the Republic die. It wasn't a glorious death. No epic battles. Only the cold steel of betrayal. But that's just the start of Caesar's story. His ambition had already changed Rome. His shadow loomed large over the Forum. This was just the beginning. Chapter 6. The immortal shadow Caesar was dead. The Republic was in shambles. Civil wars were brewing. But Caesar's work was done. He'd changed Rome forever. Let's take a step back and look at why. First, he showed what ambition looked like. Most Romans were content with the status quo, but not Caesar. He dreamed of something grander, of being remembered across generations. Second, he mastered the art of politics. Caesar understood the power of image and perception. He charmed, cajoled, and manipulated to get what he wanted. Third, he was a gifted administrator. Caesar wasn't just a soldier. He was a lawmaker who improved the lives of ordinary Romans. He passed reforms that made Rome fairer and more efficient. Finally, he built a loyal following. Caesar knew the importance of loyalty and surrounded himself with trustworthy allies. The question is, would any of this have happened if Caesar had lived? Well, probably, but the great thing about dictators is they tend to die young. Just ask Genghis Khan or Ivan the Terrible. Anyway, here's what happened. The Liberators assumed they'd save the Republic, but they hadn't. They'd merely destroyed it. Within years, Rome was plunged into a series of civil wars. Eventually, Caesar's adopted son, Octavian, aka Augustus, became the first emperor of Rome. The Republic was gone, but Caesar's ghost lingered on. Senators still whispered in his ear, telling him to pass more reforms, promising to make him a god. You see, the Romans couldn't let go of their fallen hero. In the end, they named a month after him, deified him, worshipped him as a god, and built statues across the empire. Every emperor after wore his legacy like a crown. Julius Caesar didn't just change history, he reshaped what power looked like forever. This was Julius Caesar. His ambition shook the foundations of the world. Imagine what the others did. One was the warrior queen who built an empire on the edge of the world. Her name was Click here to find out how she burned Rome to the ground and take a seat as we narrate the collapse of a superpower. The fall of the mighty Han dynasty, how a series of emperors changed China forever. We're a fan of historical tales and stories of forgotten worlds. Subscribe to our channel for more stories where power rises, falls, and echoes forever.